Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much again for tuning in to Realdealfam. My name is Andre. This is my beautiful wife, Essie.
How you doing?
Known very well in these parts as the boss. We thank y'all again so much for tuning in. And if you would, since you're here, you might as well hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell. And please give us a thumbs up. Tonight, we got a topic that's very near and dear our hearts. It's been a little bit tumultuous for us, but it's one we like to talk about and get down into it pretty good. Right, honey?
I don't know if you want to do that.
But it's about how can you be a good son, remain a good, supportive son, a loving son, as well as a wonderful husband to your wife by balancing both things and having respect for both things. And boundaries. Mm-hmm. And if you would, honey, could you go ahead and set it up for us?
Let me take over this.
And give us,
because he need to be able to be interviewed and answer this question.
Right. This one for me, so I'm gonna sit back and let her dish it.
Okay. Well, why don't you give us a little background? I don't know how it was like growing up. Let's just lay it out for us.
All right. Well, basically, my background with this particular topic is I'm gonna give you from my perspective. In my background, I grew up. Me, my mother, I had two sisters, and it was a single mother household until I was up to the age of 13. We went through various struggles together. We had various experiences together. At 13, I think my mother met a gentleman. And at that point, prior to that, we didn't have any men in the family that was consistent. But at that point, my mom met a man she fell in love with. And at that point, they was married. And that became my stepfather.
And how long were they married then?
They was married, I suspect, over 30 years, if my math serves me correctly.
All right, so 30 years. So you had two sisters, your mom, and a stepdad.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so give us a little bit of description about how you feel about your mom's, how you feel your childhood was and your upbringing and stuff.
Well, my childhood to me was not problematic at all. I'm basically a product of
angel child. Okay.
Not necessarily an angel child, but I'm happy with my roots. I'm happy with how I came up. I think my mother did an excellent job. She was a single mom. She grind. I'm a parent now. I know what it entails to be grinding, especially if you got multiple children. So I don't hold anything against her. So my childhood for me was square business. It wasn't easy. It wasn't cupcake. Was hungry sometimes, but as you see now, I'm pretty swole, so it didn't bother me at all.
Okay. So you had a decent childhood. You're single mom for the most part. She got married, and then you dated around, so on and so forth. How was she with your girlfriends?
She was pretty decent. She was kind of hands off for the most part. I didn't ascribe to her for very much advice in terms of her relationship. As I was going through my lumps and bumps with the dating. So it wasn't a problem. I think I may have had one or two what I would consider decent term girlfriends that she was exposed to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how was it when you met me?
When I met you, it was a little bit different. I was older then, and I met you. She took to you, as far as I know, everything was fine. When she met you, she liked you. She thought you was down to earth. She thought she was genuine, and most of the time they could see a woman that has ulterior motives. So I didn't sense that she picked that up from you. So I thought she was pretty content.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what was it like then after we got married?
Now, after we got married, things were a little bit different. I think there was a multitude of things that took place, though. Within her own situation, her own marriage, things kind of dissolved. So that probably had an effect. And
they didn't dissolve. They just
well, it wasn't the same.
Turmoil, yeah.
Right. It's like most African American marriages today, or any marriage with a 50% divorce rate. But it went through its struggles, And
they still remained married.
right,
though,
they
yeah.
still was married, but my mom then was having a little difficult time, and so at that time, me and my wife got married, and I think the relationship turned. I'm my only son, so she always had access to me at any time. But once I got married, me and my wife started having kids prior to getting married, so my access kind of curtailed a little bit. So things kind of, I
Is
think,
that true? I don't know. Your access didn't curtail.
well, it may not in a sense that I didn't chop it off like that, but my responsibilities towards my own household definitely came in. I just tried to juggle it better.
So after we got married, I'd say for a period of about 5 more years or so, he was still Johnny on the spot with whatever, financial, emotional, whatever. Could you move my car? I need a new car. Any of her needs. Now, mind you, she still got a man, his stepdad, of I don't know how many years they had been together at this time. What do you think was the point at which you saw there was an issue?
An issue between you and her, or
yeah,
issue
between the situation where it was just like, come on now.
Well, I think the issue became more paramount when, like I say, her and my stepfather was going through their thing, and it just kind of affected my mom to where she couldn't really focus a lot. Anytime you married for that amount of time, and the marriage is up in the air, stuff just it's hard to focus. And so she was having a hard time, and then there was just a lot of stress going on at that time, and
so instead of, from my perspective, instead of laying her, her burdens or laying, the responsibility on the stepdad, what his role was supposed to be, she laid it all on her son. And then that, of course had effect on our relationship in our household. So.
Well, I think I was complicit in that I didn't voice my opinion with it. Basically taking into account how it was going to affect my own personal family. But at that time, I probably should have made sure that my stepfather stepped up to his responsibilities, being that I had a family, he needed to take care of his family. Either you're going to be there or you're going to dissolve the marriage, but you can't leave it in limbo. It's just not a very responsible thing to do. And so it created stress within my household.
Yeah, so we ended up having to take care of not only, his mom, but because she loved him so, his stepdad had to come, even though he may or may not have been fulfilling his role as a husband. And so, you had the double whammy. She wasn't going to do it allow us to care for her if he couldn't come. So, and that was the point of contention.
Yeah, that's another issue that takes place. Now, when you're a son, there kind of was a package deal. At that time, like I said, as a man, you step up then as a man. You're the son, but you're a man now. You got your own family. You have to step up and say that if he's her husband, he got to be a husband. If you have good health and strength and so forth, you're going to have to provide for your wife and your family. It's up to you. Now, if you don't do that, then that's my mom, and if I got resources, I got an ability to take care of, then I'm going to do all I can to help her. Now, it's not going to include the gentleman, but this is where my fault lies in. I became complicit, basically an enabler, and let things kind of get out of hand. And that's where it began to affect my family. It began to affect my wife. And that's where I fell short at. And that's my responsibility, my role in the whole process. I didn't address it.
I think there's two issues here. There was two issues, that was one. But, the second was just the respect factor. Once she started seeing that the well was, drying up or not as plentiful as it used to be, because, I'm like, oh no, we got bills to pay. We trying to do us, do different things for our own personal household. She became, a little spiteful, like that's her son. She invested all this time, effort, love, and energy into it, she should be able to have access to him. And so that was, at what point do you, as the son, draw the line? Things became where, we're helping to keep the household together, but there was no respect. So you hear all kind of names and all kind of stuff in the family. They saying this about you. You not doing this and that. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Well, that I guess that did happen. A lot of things like that happen. I think there was a lot of hurt to go around. Like I said before, the marriage wasn't doing well, and I began to slack in my ability to stand up and get things right. My mom was having difficult times because she was in love, and the marriage wasn't going well. And that, even with all that being said and done, you still got to fight through, and you got to have respect. You got to have respect for your son and his household. I always maintain respect for my mom, even I don't care what it is. I don't care what happened. You can call me anything in the world. I'm always maintain respect, and that's just where I'm built. And so I should have demanded that of everybody else that was involved in the process, but I didn't. Like I said, that was my fault again. And anything that took place in terms of my wife and how she feel, that's all fall on me for not handling that. It was my family. We had similar situations take place in her family now, but she's a bulldog. She handled that pretty quickly, so that didn't even blow out into anything. But me,
yeah, that's what my thing is that if I had to do that, like I said, we came from similar backgrounds, but and I'm the daughter, but in my household, I'm kind of the more responsible child. You hate to say that, but and more stable, with my situation. So they relied on us for a lot of different things. And so, but at some point, you got to be like, hey, it has to be some kind of line and boundaries. You have to respect my husband and so on and so forth. He'll respect you. But, that's just how it had to be for it to work.
Yeah, she did a marvelous job with that. The situation resolved itself quite quickly. But my situation didn't. It just continued to proceed and fester and got worse. So if I can offer any advice to anybody out there, don't never let that happen. Now, you maintain respect and you also demand it. It goes both ways. So you can't just give respect and then get ran over. It doesn't work like that.
And the only person that can solve the problem is the son. That's the only person. Nobody else in the situation can resolve it, and he has to let his mom know he loves his wife, and she's gonna have to respect the wife, or whatever that they come up with as a resolution. But just to let it go on and say, oh, that's my mom, that's how she acts, you just have to deal with it. That ain't gonna work.
No, that's not how I would like to live my life. I don't want anybody pacifying me if I'm doing something that's improper or incorrect. Definitely let me know. Get me back in the game. But you can, it's parents, even grandparents. Nobody's off the limit. We all living, we all alive, and we all make mistakes. But you do come to your parents or your grandparents in respect and in love. You don't come to them talking to them sideways. You want to keep it respectful. And you just demand the respect that you deserve, but at the same time giving it to them. And I think they would have. I don't even think it would have went this far. That's why I say most of the problem was due to my lack of addressing the issue. I think my mom, I know of that she would have she feisted now. She would have but over time she would have been, what I'm saying?
I think it was just her doing a little bit more each time, a little bit more until it was just like totally disrespectful. And yeah.
Right. So if you handle it early, I'm sure your mom would be like, okay, now he done manned up, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop bothering.
I don't know if they gonna be like, oh, okay. But my parents, it took a long time. They where our relationship almost dissolved for a couple of years. But as they saw, like, look, their relationship is still going strong. They're committed to each other. If we want to have a relationship, we have to, treat him with respect. And so that's the same thing that,
Right.
should happen on the other side as well.
And my mom and them knew she was a good girl, so that wasn't the issue. That just you got to step in there and get things, get them boundaries out there, let everybody know where it's at. So it's just like when you go to family house, you don't just walk in the house and go in the refrigerator. You go in there and you sit down. That's boundaries, that's respect. So just give it and it'll be received. And if it's not being given to you, just ask for it. That's all. And demand it.
Demand.
That's all. And so hopefully I can bounce back from this. I think I can. I'm a pretty the kind of fella that typically learn from mistakes. I might bump my head a couple times, but hopefully I get it sooner or later. But I love my mom. I love my wife, and I'm sure y'all do too. And you're going to have little family conflicts, but get that thing handled, man. Step up like a man, get it resolved, show respect, show love, and then everybody be where they're supposed to be. How you feel, honey?
We're working it out.
Yeah, she tough when it comes to this subject. But hopefully everybody got a chance to hear how it transpired in our family. But always remember, be a upstanding husband, be a loving son, and always be a man built in respect, giving and demanding. So we thank y'all so much again for tuning in to the Realdealfam network and supporting us tonight. If we have any more topics like this, please tune in and definitely leave some comments, because it's a juicy topic, man. It's very sensitive.
Very hard to get through.
Yes, when it deals with family, not just in the family, not just some extended family you love, but not like that. But when it's
your mom and your wife.
Yeah, those two ladies there, man, they deep to you. Yeah, so your mom, your grandma, and your wife, it don't get no deeper than that. So, and when they ain't seeing eye to eye, things, it's a long night for you, man. But again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button and the notifications. And what did you think? How you gonna send them out?
Pray for the man.
All right, I'm real good. Y'all have a good evening. Good night.